Welcome, Amanda with Crafting with Amanda here. And just as a reminder, if you like and subscribe to pages that you enjoy the videos, it helps the creators get more exposure so more people can like them, and it just tells YouTube that this is value content. So I am a maker with Close to My Heart, so the products that you see are primarily from Close to My Heart. Some are tired, some not, but I'm not exclusive in that if there's a tool that works, I am all in. I love tools. So I found these 4 photos in my organizational system, and I thought they would work really well with the Isabella papers. And so I was looking at some scrapbook sketches, and I found this one and then another one that I'll show later. But I thought this would be cool, and I was just going to expand it to a double page layout, and I'm incorporating mostly the center of this sketch that's in the upper left corner with kind of the outside pieces from the other sketch that you'll see later on. So I'm just auditioning different papers to see what works, what doesn't work. These photos are printed with the white border already on them, so it's just a different layout. Well, then I had these photos from when we went to the Grand Canyon, and I had kind of paired all of the ones with my son and my husband together. And so I decided, what if I just concentrate on the blues in the Isabella paper? So that's exactly what I did. The polka dot paper that you see here is toffee in color, and then the cardstock that you see that I put on the bottom is also toffee. And the polka dot paper is from the Mix-ins from the July-August book, but they work so well with the Isabella papers. And what I'm doing is instead of doing a banner end, I'm doing a pointed end, just kind of going from inspiration from the sample sketch here. And once you cut one of them, then I can use that to cut all the rest as long as they're the same width, and they are. So they're all 2.5 inches in width, and I just picked that dimension, I think because one of these of the papers was already 2.5, so I was like, I'll just do them all that way. So this is kind of a dry fitting of how the layout's going to look with the photos. I have some extra photos, so I'm going to use some flip flaps. And then the other sketch that I'm looking at has some borders on the bottom and the top, and I realized that this polka dot paper had wood grain on the back, and I liked that better. So I went ahead and flipped over the polka dot, and then I'm pulling out a stencil that I'll end up using later. But right now I'm cutting the wood grain to match the sketch that's in the upper right corner, just to kind of give that same little look. And I didn't end up using all the circles. I'm going all with stars on this, if you saw that on the sketch. And there's a little vignette in the upper corner that you can't see, and I apologize for that. But those are just banner ends that I've put together, and you can see those in the final photos that I do, the flyovers. So I've attached everything down. This is the last piece. I didn't think you needed to see me doing all of that. And so now I'm going to show you, I put my flip flaps directly on my page, but before I did that, I wanted to go ahead and use the star stencil. And I'm just using the stencil over top of everything. It's not just on the background paper. It's going to go on top of all of those strips and just fill it all in. And this star stencil is coming out. It'll be available September 1st. It's from the new catalog. So yay, I'm very excited about this. And you just kind of turn this around different ways, and if there's some stars that you don't want to fill in but are closer to ones that you do want to fill in, remember you can always take a piece of paper or that to kind of block where the stencil would go through so that you can do some of that. I really like how these two turned out with the stencils in the background, and now I'm going to show you how I do the flip flaps. I like to attach them directly to my page, and then I cut a slit in my page protector and pull the flip flap out to the outside edge. So I just held down the page protector, the flip flap, where I wanted it, and then adhered it while still holding down to the one side. And then what I did with the picture that's under the flip flap is I put glue on the back and I hold it to the back of the flip flap so it absolutely lines up with what's in the flip flap. And I learned from another Close to My Heart maker, Crafty Concepts with Erin, that to not put glue or adhesive close to the outside edges of my photos, because then you can tuck some embellishments in later. So I've really started doing that. In this particular layout, it doesn't matter because I'm not tucking the stars in behind, but it's kind of a nice habit to get into. And I found these stars in my stash. I found these acrylic shapes in my stash. I'm really trying to use up embellishments that have been on my shelves and in my stash for years. So this is a set of paints that I got for Christmas. We have an artist in our family. Our oldest is an artist. And these are all metallic watercolor paints, and I absolutely love them. So I'm just taking one of the golds and basically going to unify all of the paper and dimensional stars that I pulled out of my stash. And I don't normally do, I've started doing more journaling with strip journaling. I don't normally do that. But I've really liked it. And I ended up turning the paper here just because I've learned that if I have a longer piece of the paper to kind of push through, it makes it easier to cut the strips out uniform. And I do this as a 14-inch font, and that allows me to cut the strips exactly at 1/4 of an inch. So, and then I'll just trim up the edges by hand. And I don't cut straight well. Even that little cut is a challenge to me. But with the journaling, and I'll offset the lines, I don't think many people are going to see if my little ends are not exactly straight. And here I'm just deciding if I want to have a left justified edge, and I decided no, I just want to mix it up. It makes it less likely that if they're not lined up exact that you're going to see it. It just allows it to go on the paper and be great. And all that the journaling says is that in the morning, our son was enjoying looking at the canyon, and we were walking around some of the stores at the visitor center, but then he just kind of wanted to be snuggled in. I think the sun felt good on him. He was in his warm sweater, and in the car, it was just a nice... We'd been playing hard over Christmas with our cousins, so I think this was a much needed rest that he got. So now that the stars have dried, I'm going ahead and just kind of adding them to the stenciled stars in the background, and I'm just using my stamping block to help hold the edges down so that they stay flat. The dimensional ones aren't so bad. It's the paper ones that are kind of curling up a little bit more that need to be flattened out. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And I like to use the liquid glue versus the tape runner like I use on the photos and on the papers in the background, just because I think that it kind of welds them in place. That once they're down, this is where they're going to go. So, and that's the star up there that I just put the block on. It really made a difference for help keeping it down. And I'm just kind of eyeballing and looking around of where things would go. I thought about taking the stencil again and turning it and doing almost like a shimmer brush through the stencil, so that you would have the blue stars in the background, and then you could do another color or just use the clear shimmer brush or the gold shimmer brush. But I'm really enjoying using up some of my stash and moving things along. So now here are some wood grain stars that again have been in my supply embellishments for a long time. So I'm just adding some of those to it. I'm not sure you can tell on the video, but in real life it blends really well with the wood grain on the paper and the wood grain in the bottom left corner, and it just really helps finish out, kind of tie everything in together. And on this, the stars underneath, I wanted to have 3 because your eye works better for 3. So here's a close-up of the right page or the left page, and you can see on the snowman on the back of my son's sweater. I love that sweater. I just had enough yarn to make that sweater, and it just worked out really well. So here's the page with the flip-flaps closed, and then I'm going to jump to this is with them open, where you can see the journaling. If you haven't subscribed to my page, I would love for you to join our community. There's another video you may be interested in, and I would be very helpful if you could give a thumbs up to this video. Have a blessed day. Thanks.